Good day, everybody. Today we're going to get into Chapter 8 and we're going to talk a little bit about consumer strategies. So when we're going out and we're spending our hard-earned money, we should have a plan. We could get ourselves into financial trouble if we're just buying everything that we want. And everything on the spot that comes into our mind that, hey, that would be a good idea, I want that, I'm going to get it. I'm a red-blooded citizen here and I got a checkbook, I got a debit card, I got a credit card, and I'm going to obtain it. But we should think about this a little more in a strategic sense. So, in this chapter we're going to talk a lot about strategies and going about making a purchase. You can read through the chapter for a lot of that stuff. So what I'm going to try to get out is to just, if you're going to make major purchases, think about it. Put some thought into it, put some detail into it, really research what you're going to buy. Make sure you get the best bang for your buck. So essentially some steps here they give us from the textbook as far as before we buy, trying to identify, well, of course, what we want, what's the market we're going to get it out of, and how are we going to pay for it. And then as you're buying it, trying to find the best deal, trying to negotiate the best price. And then afterwards, hey, any maintenance I got to do with this? Do I like it? Oh, this isn't working out like I thought it was. So what do you want to buy? What do you want to accomplish? What is this thing going to do for you? What are you going to gain by having it, wearing it, eating it, playing with it? Whatever. What need are we trying to solve? And is that need going to be met by obtaining this product? Whatever it is. And remember, we're working with limited dollars. We are not all Bill Gates. We don't have access to as much money as we want. So we got to maximize our opportunities, maximize our budget, maximize our dollars. So they come up with a little scale within the textbook, a rating system that you can use to essentially make the best purchase possible. And you can go through and take a look at that as far as rating features, giving them a score on a scale of 10, and then putting it all together to come up with what is the best product. If you want to go into this depth to make your purchases, that's great. I don't know anybody who builds a scoreboard, a score sheet. Now, I'm a numbers geek to make a purchase. But what I do want to get across is the message here, the weighted score, but looking at all the attributes of all your major purchases and making the best informed decision possible. Not just making a pick within 20 seconds. Really doing your research and thinking about what is the best thing I'm going to obtain. So hopefully the better the product, the more attributes that are covered, the more satisfied you'll be with their purchase, and you won't have to buy it again depending upon what that is. Things are going to go through and be used up, some sooner than others. So you can go all to various different sources. You can go to the retailer's website. You can go to the manufacturer's website. You can look at customer reviews. You can look at publications such as Consumer Reports. And all of this is at your fingertips at your computer generally. So we have the tools out there to make the best informed decision possible. So we got all kinds of decisions. Are we buying new? Are we buying used? Are we buying in a store? Are we buying online? Etc., etc. So just looking at all these things that we're going through, what generally we're buying new, what are we buying used? And like I said, what I want you to get across here is to just do your research. Make sure you're covering all your bases and just realize all the different options that are available to you. For my tax business, I always just automatically went to OfficeMax to get like toner and paper and stuff. It's just what I did. Hey, they have it. I don't know why I never thought, hey, let's type this into Amazon and see what kind of deal I can get. And I could get 4 things, 4, 6, 8 things of toner from Amazon for the same price as 1 from OfficeMax. It's like so much money I wasted just because I just didn't put in the effort to find another source. And we can do that on the internet. The bigger the purchase, then we're getting into, are we financing this by debt? Are we financing this with the cash we have on hand? You know, for more consumable, durable goods, you know, we should be able to pay for this through the cash that we have or using our credit cards. So figure out what you're buying, how you're getting it, does it needs to be installed, what's the warranty, what's the financing arrangements. All this goes together into your final purchase. Don't forget about all the costs, whether they're sales tax, they're shipping, everything that it takes. That could be in addition to the listed sales price. Of course, in this day and age, be wary of scams. Be wary of people calling you up and asking for your personal information. Be vigilant as far as online and using your passwords and making sure you change those and keep those hidden. And don't put yourself in a position to leave your personal data up for grabs. As far as getting ripped off, I don't think this is as big of a deal in a small town. If you live in a larger area, make sure you're getting a second opinion, you know, with something such as auto repairs or home repairs, asking for credentials, doing some checking around and making sure you're not getting ripped off. Also, make sure they have insurance so that if some mistake does happen, there's that backup and they're covered by insurance and you're not getting hosed there. So like I said with your purchases, just do your research. That's the big thing here. The last part of the chapter talks about buying a car. So what steps do we go through for buying a car, considering buying versus leasing, etc., etc. So think about, what do you need the car for? Are you in a more remote area such as Mayville? If we want to go anywhere, guess what? We got to go 45 minutes to get to Fargo, 40 minutes to get to Grand Forks. You know, we're going to put on more mileage to get the things done that we need done. Whereas you're living in a big city, you might just have to go to a couple miles to do what you need to do. How much space do you need? Are you single? Do you have kids? You're going to need a big vehicle to haul around those children. You know, is a lot of your driving going to be city driving versus highway driving? If you have to commute to work, how much time will you be spending in that car? How many miles will you need to put on that car? How long do you want to keep it? Are you going to trade it in? Are you going to sell it in the future? So all things that need to be considered. And of course, all those cars and all those trucks are going to have various variables we got to think about. As far as fuel efficiency, what shape it's in, how much power it's got, etc., etc. And you can see a list of all those different things to think about. Reliability, what happens once it gets a few years old? More important if you're looking at buying a used car. Look at the consumer reviews. Look at what success people have once it gets a few miles on it. And of course, we all have our various brand loyalties, whether it be to Chevy, Ford, Dodge, Kia, Honda, Tesla, whoever that may be biased in our decisions. So once again, just like we were talking about before, get the information. Every car manufacturer has a website. Every dealer has a website for the most part. Consumer Reports does the testing of these things. You can look and find message boards, find things where people have given their opinion on the cars and their experiences. So you can look at all these different factors and judge what's most important to you. If you got a family of 5, getting a bigger vehicle, getting a van is going to be more important than it is to me. I have no children. I don't have to haul anybody around. I don't want a minivan. So if you're buying a new car, you got to think about what's going on in the economy, as far as borrowing and paying for that car, what the effect of being able to sell it in the future is going to be, what interest rate you're going to get, or as looking at all those factors in a used car. So are you going to pay cash for it? Are you going to get a loan? Are you going to lease it? How are we going to pay for it? So if you're going to pay cash, what's your opportunity cost for then not having that cash in your bank account? I'm not a big fan of debt, but when I got my last car a couple years ago, my bank offered me 1.75% interest, basically giving the money away. Well, in that case, my interest that I'm going to pay throughout the entire history of the car, not a ton. So I might as well go for the loan, pay it back in the individual monthly installments, and keep my cash on hand for if I need it. And life changed with a few different factors that cash on hand is more important for me right now than it was 2 years ago. So I'm glad that I have that available in case I need it. So what's all those factors that are going to go into your loan? What's that interest rate going to be? What's that down payment going to be? How long are you going to be paying this off of? So is it going to be 3, 4, 5, 6 years? Oh, when I first got married, it's almost 7 years now, coming up in a couple months. We were a week or two after our wedding. We both had pretty junky cars. My wife got a job where she was going to commute from Mayville. So we better go find her a car that can do some commuting. I had my principles. I wanted a used car. I didn't want to spend a lot of money. We stopped at the dealership. The car we were going to look at was gone already. And the salesman goes, "Hey, look at that shiny new red one right there. Why don't you go give it a test drive and I'll give you a whiz bam boom deal," whatever he said. And of course I let my bride drive the shiny new red car, which was awesome, which was amazing, which she loved. How am I going to look at her and go, "No, you can't have that. We can't buy that. We shouldn't be spending $22,000 on a car"? And then I ended up with a car payment for the next 6 years that just got paid off last September, October. In the end, with all the driving, all the miles we put on it, it was a good decision that way. It just sucked having that car payment year after year after year. But now I have a car that I own, scot-free, and I don't have to have that payment for at least the next few more years. So you can factor that in. The debt can be, you can use it for a short amount of time and then have some time where you own it and you're not paying anybody. And that's what ties into the lease option. It's probably going to be a little cheaper to lease a car. And then at the end of that lease, you'll have an option to buy that car. But there is no rule that says you have to have a car payment every month of your entire life. So if you're going to lease that car, the end of 2 years, turn it over and lease another car, etc., and continue, you're going to continually have that payment. And you're going to continually have that going against your budget. So world according to Dustin, I don't necessarily agree with that. But once again, it's got to be personal preference and what you are comfortable with. If you want to drive a shiny new car every 2 years and are willing to pay that and continually pay that, who am I to tell you? But I think it's more financially prudent to own the car. So get down, the price is what it is, no matter how we're paying for it, and this can get into your negotiating skills with the salesman, if even that dealership negotiates. And you got to figure out, if you're buying a used car, what shape is it going to be in once you get it paid off, or once you get to years 5, 6, 7, 8 of you owning it, etc., etc. Negotiating, I talked about, and then thinking about what is the ongoing maintenance, what's the replacement of things, doing your best, and this we're getting your research in, especially on a used car, and making, seeing what is the maintenance level, when does the engine wear out, when does the transmission wear out, what are other people experiencing. And there's some laws called lemon laws that'll have you research in your assignment, which is basically somebody selling you a piece of crap that's going to break down, and what legal protection you have for that. So we've got the purchase process as far as for any consumer good that we could possibly buy, you can put as much effort into researching and finding what is the best thing to you. Decide if you want a loan, if you want to pay in cash, or you want to lease. Look into your warranty options. I didn't mention that too much, but if you're buying a new car, you'll get a few year warranty to protect you, I guess, a little bit against some defects in the early years of the car, and take a look at those lemon laws and what can protect you. So that is chapter 8. If you have any questions, please let me know.